Sensor tower doesn't do anything for you.
You don't really need a build order to make a sensor tower. It's just something.
No, it's kind of like a depot. You can make it whenever you want. It's at your own best convenience.
Because in Terran, I find that every time I want to build something, first I have to, like, to build a bears, you have to have a supply depot. To build
I don't think her microphone's on.
Yeah, Elliot kept.
Elliot turned you off.
Turned you off a while ago. So.
Oh, Lauren, she looks so sad right now.
so much more to say.
Well, Lauren will be making random appearances.
I feel
between
bad
games.
now. This is the most pathetic face I've ever seen.
I was asking good questions and all the stupid BS I say. That was
In the bottom left corner, we have from Team TSL, it is Revival. And in the top right, we have his teammate, it's Ragnarok. Both are Zergs, both are Koreans, both on Cloud Kingdom. What a coincidence, man. All of these things lining up.
Yep. The crazy strings that tie us all together. I wonder if they have the little like shooting star birthmark.
See, what's crazy about that is I have yet to meet another person that has the same exact scar as I do on my forehead. I did see one person with it once, but you know he was a wizard and he was off fighting a bunch of bad guys. Yeah, that's the joke, Morgan. It was on the right side of his forehead. It's not even funny, man, when you're trying to call me out like that. It was supposed to be. I was setting up this whole like elaborate thing, but it's not. Let's go back to the game, Ben. It's ZVZ. Cloud Kingdom is a
feel bad for you, Dave.
Don't pity me,
I feel
Ben.
so empathetic. Empathetic today. Empathetic.
Wait, do you know the difference between sympathize and empathize?
Sympathize is to feel sorry for somebody. Empathize is to feel their feeling.
Yes. Very good. So you empathize with me, or you sympathize? Nah, that's not true, Morgan. He's saying you only can empathize if you feel this, if you have felt the same thing.
I feel your pain, Dan.
Do you?
It's like when you do something dumb on Fierce Fitness, and I'm embarrassed for you. That's me empathizing.
But Ben, in the end,
and then you probably empathize with me when you saw me dress up like Lauren Elise.
Oh, I empathize. I've never dressed up like Lauren Elise, so I can't empathize. I sympathize with you, Ben. Those pelvic egg rolls seemed like they were very painful.
In more ways than one.
And we see Ragnarok trying to grab an expansion. Is a little bit later though, but he is trying to also get some map control with early Zerglings. Revival did go for an earlier expansion, but he does have the superior build order on paper. Whether or not he can defend against Ragnarok's aggression is up for question, up for grabs. Empathy versus sympathy. Empathy is the ability to mutually experience the thoughts, emotion, and direct experience of others. It goes beyond sympathy, which is simply a feeling, an understanding for the suffering of others. Both words have similar usage but differ in their emotional meaning. So if I feel, but what's the word? Is there a word for like feeling embarrassed for someone, or is it just sympathize?
Anyway, guys, we have pretty similar openings here with just a couple of variations in kind of the way the orders fell into place. Hatch first from Revival. Pool, it was like a 15 pool first for Ragnarok. Since then, they've both filled it in with the same other pieces. Zergling speed going down. Interestingly, Revival's going to go Evo Chamber instead of Baneling Nest, and I am already excited looking at this because this is how I like to play ZVZ. I hope that he goes for Zergling upgrades and not Roach upgrades. That would be so cool.
It would be very cool, especially since we've seen some Zergs flirt with the idea of going for a fast carapace. So that way they can endure a baneling hit as well as have some nice Zergling skirmishes across the map. And I think that's exactly what it is.
Yes, sir. Plus one armor. Awesome. There's a couple of Zergs that have messed around with playstyles like this. Scarlet is one. Sasquatch is a North American Zerg who does this almost every single game. Zerglings with plus one armor will survive a baneling hit, as we see a couple of links coming in here from Ragnarok, but good, quick reaction there by Revival to set the queens up on the ramp, and he's going to be pretty safe against this.
His job's not done yet, Ben. There's four banelings. The drones are transferring back again. Very bad timing there for Revival to send his drones once more back to the mineral lines, but the banelings, they're getting by the queens.
Link's going to run up into the main base, and this is bad for a number of reasons. That one, some more damage is going to be taken, but two, because Revival's plan has been scouted. You never want to let that happen.
Well, that's gonna hurt a lot. Look at the drone counts, Ben. 34 to 18 now. The question gets thrown back at Ragnarok. Can he hold reverse aggression, the counterattack? And he's only got one Zergling out into the field. Well, now they're starting to make.
Whoa, Carapace isn't ready yet. Wow, look at the Lings just run right past everything. Go, Grease Lightning. And Revival's going to slide right up here into the main base. He will get a couple of drone kills. He's got to be very careful to micro against these banelings.
Very meticulous control from both players. Has to avoid the banelings.
There's the big connections.
But yeah, just gets cleaned up. Revival didn't do nearly as much damage as Ragnarok did.
Only
as
2
to 10. But he did manage to squeeze in a huge round of drones. He's just going to have to play slightly from behind. Carapace also didn't finish like you pointed out, Ben. And that could have helped Revival significantly. Now, Ragnarok, he is going to exercise his lead by teching. He's going to go for a Roach Warren as well as Lair. Going to use his extra drones to be able to pump out a little bit more units. And from there, maybe even expand to a quicker third and time his opponents. But Revival, what can he do from here, Ben?
Looks like he wants to do some continued Zergling aggression. He's started up +1 melee. He's making Lings right now. He's got a little window. It's not a huge window, but he's got a small amount of time here where he can go put on some counter pressure against his opponent. Roach Warren is done for Ragnarok, so he's quickly approaching the point of supreme safety. But with a couple of Lings popping out now for Revival, we're going to see him apply a little bit of pressure. And Lings are fast, man. They're going to cross the map with great haste. And with that +1 armor upgrade, banelings are not the ultimate answer.
That's right. Zerglings are fast, they're fun, and they're very dangerous. You can see Ragnarok trying to take a third base, but immediately getting sniped off while he takes his own third. Mutas is the choice from Ragnarok. Wow.
Wow, this is going to be really tough for Revival to deal with because he does not have a lair. His lair is really only about halfway complete. He's got no actual higher tech. He's got no access to infestors. He's got no access to hydras. And he has certainly got no access to mutas of his own. So Ragnarok's Spire is going to be finishing around the time that Revival has his lair. So definitely tough times at Ridgemont High.
Or fast times, depending on how you look at it. So Revival is he's going to have to be a little bit more aggressive. He's been doing a good job denying this third base. We're trying to pressure it very explicitly or implicitly. Ragnarok will have some good map control. And one thing I do love about Mutas is that you can constantly pressure opponents' expansions and force them, but Cloud Kingdom is a map that it's a little bit easier to protect compared to other maps like, say, Ohana, just because of the triangular expansion formation. So Revival does have that to his benefit.
Spire is done, and it will be about 8 mutas. 7 mutas.
Forcing to cancel on the third, Ben. That's actually very huge.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It does buy time for Revival to create economic advantage. What it doesn't do is help against this impending muta threat. Revival has no idea that mutas are coming. And he has so many overlords out on the map. He has so little actual anti-air, not a single spore crawler, no infestation pit, no hydralisk den, no spire of his own. And he only has 3 queens, and they're all at different places. These mutas are going to do just catastrophic amounts of damage.
Yeah, Revival even went double
Unless
Overseer.
They just take their time and kill overlords in the middle of the map. That would be okay. This is what Revival needs to do, Dan. He's going to send the roaches across and threaten a big counterattack. This keeps the mutas out of his face for a little while. This is exactly the right choice. He's going to end up losing all of these roaches ultimately, but he should be able to do a little bit of damage in the meantime. Notice how the mutas are all coming all the way back home. Got roaches of Ragnarok's on the production tab, so he will be able to deal with this.
Yeah, so he will be able to defend just like you said, Ben, but we see a lot of spores popping up at bases from Revival as well, so the muta shouldn't be able to pressure. In fact, enough time I feel like has been bought to the point where he can kind of fall back, because you realize that Ragnarok isn't making that many mutas. He's not staying too far. He's going back into roaches, and he's doing it to get map control, which is kind of funny though, because usually when you get mutas, you can constantly pressure the opponent's third, but that's not been the case at all.
Yeah, but he still gains so much. He's going to kill a ton of overlords out around the map. Infestor tech is still a reasonable ways off, and Ragnarok's going to get infinite map control. Look at this. As he's doing all of this harass, he's sending his roaches across the map. So it's just going to be a Muto Roach attack on this third base, and I think Revival is probably going to lose this third base.
Yeah, Revival doesn't have that many use because he sacked it all in order to buy some time. The Mutas aren't that impactful. As you can see, the Spore Crawler doing awesome amounts of damage. 3, 4 kills. But Ragnarok just has so many roaches compared to his opponent.
Ragnarok? His control is so bizarre. He's like running around. He's taking lots of extra damage. He sacrificed his Mutas. Luckily, he has so many roaches that it doesn't seem to really matter that much, but that was not the most cost-effective exchange. Look at it! Oh, the fungal. Just massive fungal. A lot of roaches are going to get killed here. Ragnarok really was very sloppy with the way he engaged.
These roaches are... These roaches do look like they're very lost, man. Like they're confused on where to go because they've been moving back and forth.
Ragnarok has too much APM, dude. He's just like he's controlling every attack individually. Like seriously, his roaches and his units are just spazzing out. Like I don't understand it.
I think Kitty coached Ragnarok for this match. Man.
He should have killed the third base. He should have killed a ton of overlords with his mutas. Instead, he sacked his mutas and he just ran in circles with his roaches. And now Revival's pushing back, and Revival is going to be in a fantastic spot.
He's got better tech developed too since he has Infestors out. He's even gotten gases at the third before his opponent. Revival has almost everything. His biggest areas of weaknesses have now been covered.
Yeah, the one thing that Ragnarok has over Revival is a +2 ranged attack upgrade. But his Infestor tech is just really starting to come into play. The mutas were basically fruitless. And Revival is completely stable now. Now, I would love to see Revival crank out a couple more drones. He's up to 58. Maybe 1 or 2 rounds of drone production would be to his benefit. But he's stable, man. He's safe, and he's avoided the worst of it.
Yep, and Revival just getting out more Infestors. Roach Infestor, of course, is dominating the mid-game amount of Zerg. When do you think is a comfortable time to also add Hydras, Ben? Because I've always asked this to Greetor, but I always hear differing opinions from Zerg players. I've never asked you.
What's the question again?
When do you feel like it's an appropriate time for Revival to start incorporating Hydras into his composition? Or do you feel like Roach Infestor is just when you just stick on for a while?
I mean, you can stick on Roach Infestor for as long as you want. But the player that has Roach Infestor and then sprinkles in the Hydra is going to have the better fighting army. So there's not, I don't think there's a definitive answer. I think it's just kind of when you stabilize on Roach Infestor. And that's the point that both of these players are at. You should see both of them going for Hydra Tech soon. And Ragnarok knows it. He's got his Hydra Den down already. Revival is maybe just going to max out on Roach here. Which is again, not the wrong choice. See Hydra Den going down for him as well. But sprinkling in the Hydras just adds that extra damage dynamic. It adds a little bit of anti-air so you can pick off Overlords. And it just kind of rounds out your army very nicely.
Yes, I completely agree. It's just I always have a difficulty of like knowing when to switch into them, but I think Revival has a big stability point.
Fungal landing, and that could translate to a bunch of dead roaches. That was a great catch by Ragnarok.
That's 10 roaches that could have died, but instead only about 3 or 4. Revival doesn't have Burrow, but that's okay. He's just going to force a cancel on the 4th base.
Ragnarok's just going to sit up at the top of his ramp, wait, play the passive, this is ZVZ, you shall not attack me game.
Ragnarok also got some roaches running by and killing off one of the queens, but he's just trying to do some guerrilla tactics here, trying to buy time so he can get his own Infestor energy up. Doesn't have that many Infestors, but it is Cloud Kingdom, a map that's kind of hard to attack up the ramp since it's so choky.
A little bit of roaches back at this 4th expansion. Going to do some damage to this hatchery, but they should be cleaned up. A little bit surprised that neither player has gotten Burrow. And now Revival has his Burrow tech, and now Ragnarok is starting his Burrow tech. It's very nice to have Burrow for those little guerrilla attacks that you were talking about, Dan. Burrowing a couple of units is so frustrating, so annoying to deal with. I love that Ragnarok is continuing to send small contingents of roaches around the map to do some harass. As these guys are just going to kind of turtle up now on 3 bases each. Big attack coming from Revival. This is a dangerous moment. He's very clumped up. Oh, nice fungals from the high ground.
Yeah, has to be able to catch some of the units is very big, but just like you said, Ben has to be very cautious himself. He's running directly into the army. He's very confident in his standing of confrontational power. Revival is going to be able to chew through most of this army, now dropping Infested Terrans, which is, of course, just added damage boost for supply-free units. Ragnarok can't hold his 4th base. And we see the Roaches were able to force a big cancel also on Revival's expansion. So Ragnarok might feel like if he can hold his ramp, he'll still be in a decent spot economically.
Infested Terrans going down en masse. Spinecrawler is doing a good job of buffering and of dealing a lot of damage, but Revival's supply is a lot higher than Ragnarok's here. He's going to continue pushing forward with Infested Terrans and Hydras. Every Spinecrawler is falling. Hydra might come under fire. Roach reinforcements trying to stream in from Ragnarok, but again, Revival's numbers are so much higher. Here come his first big reinforcing waves. A lot of Roaches showing up to the fight.
And he even has Roaches running by the natural, killing off an incredible amount of drones, even burrowing them individually to let them regen health. GG. Revival playing a very, very nice comeback scenario and able to stabilize, finally making a great attack, multi-prong aggression. Very well played.
Yeah, solid, standard, very mechanical Zerg versus Zerg there on Cloud King. It was brought to you guys by Stamps.com. Hassle-free postage from your PC available to you at nasl.tv/p/stamps. We're going to take a short break. Game 2 when we get back.